Good evening, everyone, and welcome once again inside our Home Field Credit Union Studio B as we present our latest summer edition of the Milford Informer. I am your host, Tim Coet. Here we are already in the waning days of the month of July. We're set to get you updated on a couple of news stories from around the area, and of course we will have one last update on Milford Post 59 as we show you how things went down for the team in the Zone 4 playoffs. Let's get things started by showing you tonight's top stories rundown. Tonight, we'll have details from the Milford Area Chamber of Commerce as they prepare to host their third annual Hot to Trot 5K. Also tonight, we'll give you a chance to meet the cycling team from the Waters Corporation as they get set to be part of this year's Pan Mass Challenge. And later in sports, we'll show you highlights from each of Milford Post 59's games in the 2018 Zone 4 playoffs. Before we get to our two top stories, we have some news to share regarding a pair of positions that were recently filled within the Milford schools. Brookside Elementary School will welcome in a new principal for the 2018-19 school year. After reviewing 40 applicants for the position, Superintendent Dr. Kevin McIntyre announced that Eric Elmore has been hired to lead Brookside. Mr. Elmore comes to Milford by way of Indianapolis, where he previously served as principal at Deer Run Elementary School. Mr. Elmore received his bachelor's degree from Ball State University and his master's from Indiana University, Purdue. He has more than 18 years of experience in education as both a classroom teacher and an administrator. As part of the announcement for the hire, Dr. McIntyre said, quote, "I am thrilled to have Eric Elmore join us as the new principal at Brookside Elementary School. He has an impressive background as both a classroom teacher and a dynamic building administrator, and he brings his passion for supporting student learning, growth, and engagement to Milford. We look forward to Mr. Elmore joining our team in early August." Dr. McIntyre also announced this week the hiring of Mrs. Caridad Lopez as the new assistant principal at Woodland Elementary School. Mrs. Lopez was chosen from a pool of nearly 50 applicants. She most recently served as grade K-2 teacher and principal intern at the Curley K-8 school in Jamaica Plain. Mrs. Lopez earned both her bachelor's and master degrees from UMass Boston and has been working in education for the last decade. Woodland principal Tim Kernan had this to say about the hiring, quote, "I am thrilled to bring Caridad Lopez on board at Woodland. I think she is going to be a great asset to our administrative team as well as to our students, families, and staff. Caridad's skill set and knowledge as an educator were very impressive, as were her experiences in a diverse K-8 Boston Elementary School as a principal intern and teacher leader. I am looking forward to Mrs. Lopez contributing to the great work we are doing at Woodland." Now on to our first top story. Our friends at the Milford Area Chamber of Commerce are getting set to host a fun summer event on July 28th. To find out the details on this fast-approaching event, I sat down with the Chamber's new Director of Programs and Services. We're very happy to be joined on the Milford Informer this week by a member of the Milford Area Chamber of Commerce, the new Director of Programs and Services. It's Sarah Gifford. Sarah, thank you so much for joining us this week.
Thank you for having me.
So a new addition to the Chamber. You were just brought on, I believe, at the end of June. How's the experience been so far over at the Chamber?
Fantastic. Laura is amazing to work with. I love doing chamber work. I'm kind of new to chamber work, but have a lot of experience out in the public, in hospital administration. So it's awesome. I love it.
Well, that's fantastic. And just a little bit about the position, Director of Programs and Services. What are sort of your day-to-day tasks over there with the Chamber?
So I do kind of a jack of all trades, really. I'm promoting 5K. I'm doing Governor's Luncheon. I'm doing the Pulse group. Anything that goes out to the public, pretty much my hands are in it, along with Laura, of course.
Well, that's fantastic, and just so many great chamber events happening all the time. We were fortunate enough to play host to one of the Pulse events recently, so there's all kinds of terrific events, of course, as everyone knows, things going on every month over there with the chamber and out within the community. And one of those events in particular we want to get into this week, and that is the Hot to Trot Run Walk. It's a 5K event. Tell us a little bit about this event and what folks can expect.
So I'm new to this event as well, but this is the third year that we've done it. It is in Upton at the VFW Post. The registration kicks off at 7:30 on race day, and that's Saturday, July 28th. So we'll be there for registration.
One of the things that I really liked about the wording on the website is that this is an event that's really family friendly. Mm-hmm. It's a course that's welcoming to whether you're an experienced runner or more of a novice. This is going to be a great opportunity for people to get outside and just enjoy a great day.
Yes. So it's really, our goal is to bring your whole family with you and come, and whether you're never run, never walked, try it, have fun. There'll be music, there'll be food, there'll be breakfast, there'll be t-shirts, there'll be goodie bags. It's just going to be a really fun day. Well,
that's really exciting. And so again, some of the particulars: registration starts at 7:30, and we should say the event is kicking off at the VFW at 15 Milford Street in Upton. Is that correct?
Correct.
So registration starts at 7:30. The race itself will start at 9. And in terms of registration, what is the cost involved?
So the registration is $30 the day of the race. You're not guaranteed a t-shirt. The race shirt is actually it's a pretty nice shirt. It's a wicking t-shirt. It has all the logos, the sponsors, and has the chamber logo on the front. We see them all over the community from the past 2 years. They're really cool. We also have breakfast. I believe it's Chick-fil-A that's going to donate breakfast to us. Like I said, race bags. What else? $25 for people under 70 before, if you register online or by mail. $20 for people 70 and over. We do have racers that are over 70, so we have all spectrums, all broads.
Well, that's terrific. And of course, we should say again, July 28th is when the 5K is taking place. And do folks have the opportunity to register online ahead of time?
Yes, they do.
So just head over to milfordchamber.org. All kinds of good information on there, but pretty easy once you get on there to go through the online registration.
Yes, just go right to the events section and you can click on it and good to go.
All right, well, that's excellent. Again, the Hot to Trot 5K run walk, a very family-friendly course. Should be a great day. We've had some great weather in this last month, a little bit warm at times, but we've had some great weather, and hopefully it'll be a great weather day again for an event that will kick off bright and early. Registration starting at 7:30. You can come down. Breakfast will be served. T-shirts there while they last. And again, just another exciting event, one of many coming up in the summer and beyond for the Chamber. So we really look forward to hearing more about this event and more coming up at the Chamber. But again, we hope everyone will turn out for the Hot to Trot 5K. It should be a spectacular day. So again, for any more information on this event, we encourage you to head over to milfordchamber.org. So Sarah Gifford, thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.
For more than 30 years, the Pan Mass Challenge has been a staple fundraising event in Massachusetts. The event brings cycling teams to the Commonwealth with the common goal of raising money for the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute. A group of riders from the Waters Corporation here in Milford is preparing to ride in this year's PMC. Let's show you more about their team and how you can help contribute to the fundraising effort.
Each of us as individuals have different stories of why we ride for the PMC. I have some very close friends who have both suffered from cancer and who have passed away from cancer, who are in my memories every single day. And when I ride, I think about them. My name is Kevin Barrett, and I've been here at Waters for 15 years, and I'm one of the steering committee members sponsoring the Waters ride for the PMC. The PMC is a world-renowned event run every August. The Waters team has been involved formally for the last 2 years. So we had our inaugural team event last year in 2017. And we raised about $178,000 for cancer.
So we were just a group of people coming together to ride, and this year we're trying to get a step above that, be a little more organized and beat our last year's fundraising.
PMC is directly related to the Dana-Farber Cancer Institute in Boston, and all of the funds raised by PMC go directly to cancer research in the Dana-Farber.
So I really ride for the reason of cancer, you know, and how it's affected my family, my life, my cousins, and things like that. I'd have to say that's the true passion behind this.
Probably one of the most moving things that I've ever seen is numerous times there are survivors, cancer survivors, who have benefited from the work that Dana-Farber does, and they'll be out there on the ride with signs saying, "Thank you, I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for you and your ride." And that, you can imagine, is quite moving.
Water's whole goal in this year's 2018 fundraiser is to beat our last year's fundraising.
It's a fairly easy process. You go to the PMC website, you can actually look up Team Waters, and then from that lookup you can actually go to the Team Waters site, and Team Waters is where people from the community, if they'd like to give, can donate online through that PMC website.
"36 days. That is all the time it took for the entire regular season and postseason for Milford Legion baseball to come and go. The team first took the field to get the season started back on June 14th. Milford's 24-game regular season wrapped up on July 15th, with the team amassing an 18-6 record along the way. That record was good enough to give Post 59 the number 3 seed in the Zone 4 playoffs, where Milford would be placed in a bracket along with Shrewsbury, Cherry Valley, and Framingham. Let's take a look back at Milford's journey through the Zone 4 playoffs. After Mother Nature delayed the start of the zone playoffs by a day, Milford eventually got things started at home, with the number 3 seed Post 59 hosting the number 6 seed Cherry Valley Post 443. Cherry Valley proved to be a thorn in Milford's side through the regular season, sweeping both of the teams' meetings. Milford would send their best to the hill in this playoff opener. Jonathan Rice, fresh off a no-hitter in his final regular season start, would pitch effectively around a 2-out walk to finish off a scoreless first inning. In the second inning, Cherry Valley would apply some more pressure against Rice, placing runners at the corners with only 1 out, but the Milford lefty would get number 8 hitter Jason Paniant to hit a grounder to short, and Milford would turn a 4-6-3 double play to end the inning with no runs allowed. Meanwhile, Cherry Valley starter Aiden Gilman would manage to hold down the Milford bats through the early innings. He would notch his first strikeout against Sam Parker as he retired the side in order in the first. Then in the third inning, he would strike out Milford's 8 and 9 hitters Jacob Beater and Chris Brunt back-to-back in what would be his second 1-2-3 frame. Finally, the Post 59 offense would start to come to life in the fourth. Aiden Wild would get the inning started with a single out to left center. Gilman would then walk Parker and Reynolds back-to-back to load the bases for Milford with no outs. Gilman's control would continue to be an issue as the inning went on. With Tyler Almeida at the plate, Gilman would deliver one in the dirt that skipped off to the backstop, allowing Aiden Wild to score the first run of the game. That would not be the only offense Milford would generate in the inning. And so that's exactly what we see right here. And now a line drive down the line in right field. That's a fair ball rolling off towards the corner. Parker scores. Here comes Reynolds around from second base as Almeida will stop at second with a 2-run double. And that opens up a 3-0 lead. It would stay a 3-0 game until the bottom of the 6th inning, where Milford would look to deliver some insurance. The starting pitcher for Cherry Valley still out there. As now Reynolds gets into this pitch, drives it deep out to left field. This is over the head of Jason Panion and will be extra bases as it rolls all the way to the fence. And Reynolds will cruise into second base. He will hold there with a leadoff double. 3-1 pitch upcoming now to Ambrosoni, and it's lined out to right field. That's down for a base hit. Reynolds comes in to score. A 2-out RBI single from Ambrosoni will give Milford now a 4-0 lead. Milford would score one more time in the inning on an error, but it would all be more than enough for Jonathan Rice. Despite allowing a leadoff double in the 7th, Rice would keep the shutout intact, setting down the next 3 hitters to end the ball game. It was Rice's 3rd straight complete game shutout as Milford claims victory in the opening night of the zone playoffs. The win against Cherry Valley allowed Milford to enter into the winners portion of the bracket on day 2 of the playoffs. That set up another classic postseason clash between Post 59 and their arch rival Shrewsbury Post 397. Milford would face Shrewsbury's veteran starter Parker Brown on the pitcher's mound, and they would enjoy some success against the righty in the top of the 1st. Brown would walk both Sean Rebello and Aiden Wild to give Milford a pair of base runners ahead of number 3 hitter Sam Parker. Parker would then get into a pitch from Brown, driving it all the way down into the right field corner. Rebello would score, and Coach DeVito would opt to wave Wild home as well, but Shrewsbury would execute a flawless relay to the plate, and the throw would get there just in time to cut down Wild. Later in the inning, Post 59 would have runners at the corners with 2 outs, but Tyler Almeida would get caught trying to steal second, and Milford would have to settle for just the 1 run. That missed opportunity would immediately come back to haunt Milford. Post 59 starting pitcher Jack Tempesta would immediately run into trouble in the bottom half of the 1st. After striking out the first hitter, Tempesta would allow the next 7 consecutive batters to reach on a combination of 5 hits and 2 walks. Louis DeVolio would produce the most damaging hit in the inning, driving in 2 runs with a single. Tempesta would be forced from the game after just retiring 1 batter. Alex Gonfride would come out of the pen to strike out back-to-back hitters to end the inning, but by then the damage had been done and Shrewsbury would have a 4-1 lead. It would be 5-1 when Milford came to bat in the 4th inning. Tommy Ambrosoni and Jacob Beater would lead off the frame with back-to-back base hits, and both men would eventually come around to score on a groundout and an error to cut the Milford deficit to 2. But Shrewsbury would counter in their half of the inning, scoring 2 runs of their own to place the score at 7-3 heading into the later innings. That combo of Ambrosoni and Beater, who started the rally in the 4th inning, would get things rolling again in the 6th, with Ambrosoni dropping down a perfect bunt for a base hit and Jacob Beater working a walk. 2 batters later, Sean Rebello would drive in Ambrosoni with a base hit to make it 7-4. After Parker Brown walked Aiden Wild to load the bases, Shrewsbury would go to their bullpen, bringing in Pat Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy would end up walking Sam Parker with the bases loaded to force in a run. Alex Reynolds would then provide the big blow in the inning, driving a base hit back up the middle that would bring 2 more runs to the plate, allowing Post 59 to come all the way back to tie the game at 7. With Shrewsbury coming up in the bottom half of the 6th, they would look to once again respond. Post 397 would collect back-to-back 1-out base hits, which would lead to another Milford pitching change. Coach DeVito would bring in Alex Reynolds, who did not allow a run or a hit in 5 relief appearances in the regular season. Reynolds would be unable to keep that streak going in this game, however, as pinch hitter Chris Wright and number 9 hitter Matt Matero would deliver back-to-back RBI doubles. Shrewsbury would tally 3 runs in the inning to retake the lead for good. Pat Shaughnessy would look much better in the 7th inning, retiring the side in order to finish off the victory for Post 397. Milford would show plenty of heart in the late innings, but they would fall to Shrewsbury by a final score of 10-7. Milford entered Day 3 of the zone playoffs on the brink of elimination. In order to stay alive, Milford would need to sweep a doubleheader, with Game 1 coming against the same team Post 59 defeated 2 days earlier in Cherry Valley. Cherry Valley was able to remain in the hunt thanks to a 6-5 win over Framingham the night before, and they were able to carry some of that momentum over through the early innings of this game. Facing Milford starter Tommy Leone, Cherry Valley would use a walk, a double, and a hit by pitch to load the bases with only 1 out in the top of the 1st. From there, third baseman Ryan Sanderson would lift a pitch out to center field, plenty deep enough for the runner from third to score to give Post 443 an early lead. Milford would put themselves in position to respond in the bottom of the first, with Sean Ravello reaching on an infield hit followed by an Aiden Wild walk to place 2 on with nobody out. 3 batters later, Tyler Almeida would come through with his second RBI double of the playoffs. The hit would bring Sean Ravello to the plate to tie the game at 1. In the second inning, it would be the bottom of the order bats who would look to get the home team back on the scoreboard. Here's the 3-1 pitch, and Ambrosoni goes after it, lifts it high in the air down the right field line. Racing towards the corner is Aiden Gilman. He can't catch up to it. It lands in fair territory. Ambrosoni already around second base. He will cruise into third with a stand-up triple. A little bit frustrated with the strike zone. Starting to voice that frustration is now Beater sends a drive down the left field line. That is a fair ball. And in from third base to score comes Ambrosoni. An RBI single for Jacob Beater pushes Milford on top by a score of 2-1. But Cherry Valley would continue to fight back. After scoring the tying run off of a wild pitch in the third, they would have the go-ahead run on with 2 outs in the fourth and their number 2 hitter at the dish. Garvin safe on the fielder's choice, and now here's a line drive high out to left field. That's over Beater's head and is going to roll to the deepest part of left field. On his horse goes Tyrus Garvin. He's around from third base. He will score as Jason Canyon slides into third base with a triple. And that is going to give Cherry Valley the lead back at 3-2. With Milford trailing again in this elimination game, the bottom of the order was once again ready to jumpstart the offense. Matt Shaver, Tommy Ambrosoni, and Jacob Beater would all reach on 3 straight singles to open the inning, and they would eventually score a pair of runs thanks to a Ravello sac fly and an RBI single from Aiden Wild to push the lead back into Milford's favor. In the next inning, that same trio of Shaver, Ambrosoni, and Beater would all reach yet again, this time on 3 consecutive walks, putting Milford in position to pad their lead. Now swings away at the first pitch, hits it hard down the third base line. It's a fair ball, rolling down towards the corner. Shaver scores. Here comes Ambrosoni around from second base. And Chris Brunt slides into second. He pumps his fist as he comes through with the 2-run, 2-out double to give Milford a 6-3 lead. Sean Ravello would drive in a 3rd run in the inning, and Milford would grab one final bit of insurance in the 6th to place the team in an 8-3 lead. Meanwhile, it would be sweet redemption for Jack Tempesta on the mound. After lasting just a third of an inning in his start versus Shrewsbury, Tempesta would come out of the bullpen supplying 3 1/3 innings of scoreless relief. Milford would stave off elimination in Game 1 of this doubleheader, as they would go on to defeat Cherry Valley by a final score of 8-3. After a brief rest and a uniform change, Milford was right back on the field less than an hour after the final pitch in the win over Cherry Valley. Post 59 would participate in another playoff rematch, as Shrewsbury would enter Pheno Field as the only undefeated team left in Bracket B. With Milford serving as the road team, they would be the first to come to the plate, and they would face the very same pitcher who finished off the game the night before, right-hander Pat Shaughnessy. Shaughnessy would allow a hit and a walk in the top of the first inning, but he would escape the jam with no runs allowed. Milford would hope to set a better tone on the pitcher's mound in this second playoff meeting with Shrewsbury, but starter Justin Metcalf would struggle with his command early. He would allow a walk and a pair of singles to the first 3 hitters of the inning, with Shrewsbury catcher Nick Martin driving in a run to give Shrewsbury a 1-0 lead. Metcalf would ultimately get out of the inning with just the 1 run allowed. In the second inning, Milford's hottest playoff bat would get the inning started strong. Tommy Ambrosoni would line a single back up the middle. The hit would be Tommy's 6th in 4 postseason games. He would end up scoring later in the inning on a Chris Brunt sacrifice fly to tie the score at 1. After pitching a scoreless second, Metcalf would see his control issues return in the third. He would walk Matt Sullivan with 1 out in the inning. Sullivan would advance to third, and he would eventually score on this sac fly by Dylan Zona to push Shrewsbury back on top 2-1. Milford would have their chances to get to Shaughnessy as the game went along. In the top of the third, Wild and Parker would each walk to open the inning, but Reynolds and Almeida would pop out on the infield, and Ambrosoni would ground out, and Milford would fail to score. In the top of the 5th, Milford would see 2 more runners on base with 2 outs in the frame, but Shaughnessy would get out of it once again. Milford would strand 7 runners through the first 5 innings. It would stay just a 1-run Shrewsbury lead until the bottom of the 5th, where post 397 would threaten with 2 on and 1 out. A costly error by Chris Brunt at short would allow 1 run to come home, and that would quickly be followed by a sinking line drive off the bat of Tom Q that would chase home a 2nd run in the inning to give Shrewsbury a 4-1 lead. With Milford running on fumes after a long day of baseball, they would be unable to muster a comeback in the late innings. With a runner aboard and 2 out in the 7th, Sam Parker would hit a grounder to 3rd, and Shrewsbury would make the play to end the ball game. Shrewsbury would win by a final score of 4-1, bringing Milford's 2018 season to a disappointing end. So that puts a wrap on the 2018 year for Milford Post 59. Milford will say goodbye to 3 of their veteran players whose eligibility has come to an end. Those players include 3-year veteran and Bellingham High School graduate Sean Ribello, 2-year player and graduate of Hopkinton High School Alex Reynolds, and recent Milford High graduate and distinguished 4-year Legion player Aiden Wild. All 3 players served as integral parts of the team's success and have etched their names into the storied history of Milford Legion baseball. As for Shrewsbury, they moved on to the Zone 4 finals where they matched up against number 1 seed Leominster. The 2 teams pushed each other to the limit in the best-of-3 finals series, but ultimately Shrewsbury emerged victorious, winning the Zone 4 championship for the 3rd straight year, and they will now move on to the Massachusetts State Tournament. And now let's get to this week's upcoming events. Coming up on August 7th, the Friends of the Milford Upper Charles Trail will be hosting a 10th anniversary open house celebration. The event will commemorate the 10th anniversary of the Upper Charles Trail's first opening here in Milford. The event will give members of the community a chance to meet with the Friends of the Upper Charles Trail, along with trail adopters and sponsors. Food and non-alcoholic beverages will be provided, and beer will be available for purchase through Craft Roots. The open house celebration will take place on Tuesday, August 7th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Craft Roots Brewery located at 4 Industrial Road. And here are a pair of upcoming events from the Pulse Young Professionals Group. Pulse will be hosting a Coffee Connection on Tuesday, August 7th at the Muffin House in Mendon from 8 to 9 a.m. Then on August 23rd, there will be a Pulse After Hours event being held at the Start Line Brewery in Hopkinton from 7 to 9 p.m. The Pulse Young Professionals Group's mission is to give a voice and provide networking capabilities between young professionals through the promotion of teamwork and community support and activity. That's going to finish things up for this summer edition of The Informer. We will continue to air bi-weekly editions of the show through the end of August. Our next new edition will premiere on Friday, August 10th. We look forward to talking to you then. Until next time, from all of us here at Milford TV, this is Tim Coet saying have a great week. So long, everybody.